What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're playing Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger in Historic Brawl. Kroxa is a 2 mana, technically 4 mana, but 2 mana to cast Elder Giant 6/6. When Kroxa enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. Whenever Kroxa enters the battlefield or attacks, each opponent discards a card, and each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life. And then escape, so black, black, red, red, exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Kroxa and the other Elder Giants like Uro, but the way this card works is you kind of think of it as a 2-part spell. The 2 mana, so the black and red, you cast this. When it enters the battlefield, 2 triggers happen. One trigger is for the opponent to discard a card, and then if they didn't discard a non-land card, they lose 3 life. And then the second one is to immediately sacrifice it. Once it's sacrificed, it goes to the graveyard, and then from the graveyard we can escape it, which is the black, black, red, red. We essentially flash it back, if you're familiar with that mechanic, and it comes back to the battlefield, but it stays on the battlefield. So there's a couple of ways that we can take advantage of this. One, if you enter full control on Arena when you cast Kroxa, there's a point in time where Kroxa is still physically on the battlefield, and the first trigger resolves, the discard and lose 3 life trigger, and then you have on the stack the second trigger. And during that moment where you can pause, you can actually, since Kroxa is going to die anyway, you can cast spells like Corrupted Conviction or Village Rites, where you sacrifice it and then you draw 2 cards. So this is already gonna die, but you can cast this 1 mana spell and draw 2 cards off its death trigger anyway before that trigger resolves. So we have a sprinkling of these types of effects in the decks just to take advantage of the first part of Kroxa, and that conversely adds a card to the graveyard, which we can then exile to escape it later. So this deck is all about putting cards in the graveyard. It's mostly removal spells. I'm not going to call it Rakdos control, but it's definitely like Rakdos mid-range leaning towards control. The controlling element being, the discard effects, right? And the removal and sweepers. Right, there's a nice amount of those, but really what we're trying to do is use it's 2-for-1s. We're trying to use the removal effect, get rid of our opponent's creature, but also put cards in our graveyard so that we can escape Kroxa. Because if we don't have cards in our graveyard, we can't escape Kroxa. Then there are other synergies too. So obviously we talked about if we play Kroxa for the 2 mana, it's going to die. Well, if we have Grave Pact down, then when that happens, the opponent has to sacrifice a creature, right? Whenever a creature we control dies, sacrificing counts as a death trigger, so they have to sacrifice a creature. So now we've turned Kroxa from, just dying to also making our opponent sacrifice a creature. And then if we combine that with Corrupted Conviction, we turn that into a draw 2, opponent sacrifices a creature, we put a card in the graveyard, and maybe we can escape Kroxa again that turn, right? It all synergizes together. The Celestis and Collector's Vault, both cards that allow us to draw and discard, so we can draw cards we need and loot into cards that are relevant and discard ones that are not for more fodder for Kroxa. This one's nice because we pay 2 mana and we can draw, discard, and create a treasure token, so that's great value. This one a little bit more expensive at 3 mana total, but we can gain life, which is something that we don't do a lot of in this deck, but it's nice to have, especially with effects like One Ring and Phyrexian Arena, like incrementally making us lose life. Then, since we're such a spell slinger style deck, we have cards like Young Pyromancer to make 1/1s every time we cast an instant or sorcery. Sedgemoor Witch, same idea, just these are pests, so they gain us life when they die. And then just the stuff you would expect. Sheoldred, right? Virtue of Persistence. If we wanted to, we could cast the backside, and instead of escaping Kroxa, we could just reanimate it every turn to make our opponent discard a card and maybe make them lose 3 life. sort of like an end game, you know, turbo Kroxa. Terror Grid to steal cards with the opponent when they discard permanents. Invoke Despair. Ox of Agonis to refill our hand. We can discard Ox of Agonis or play it, but we can discard it. If it's in the graveyard, we can escape it for 2 and draw a fresh hand, essentially. Steal one of our opponent's creatures, and then we can sacrifice it with our own Corrupted Conviction. Virtue of Courage, so we can deal 2 damage to any target. Maybe we finish off their life total with this, or kill a creature. But the backside, the enchantment, 5-mana enchantment, whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from the top of your library. You may play those cards this turn. Kroxa's ability, if we play it or attack with it, causes the ability to, well, I guess it's loses life, huh? Loses 3 life. Well, that's okay. We have other effects like Lightning Bolt that play off of Virtue of Courage. I didn't notice that. It's non-combat damage. Life loss does not count as non-combat damage. Oh well. It's a good card. It's in the deck. Deal with it. So yeah. Ultimate funny card in here is Cthulhu's Fury, which is just a fling effect. But if we have Kroxa down, we can attack with it. And then do 6 damage potentially if it gets through, 3 damage off of its ability, and then we can Cthulhu's Fury and sack it and do 6 more damage to their face for a total of 15 damage in 1 combat step. So let's get into the game. Other notable thing, you'll notice a lot of fetch lands is what I'm trying to say. Fetch lands, even the bad ones, because these are sort of 2-for-1 fodder. Like, we go fetch a land, but we also put a card in our graveyard, which is another thing Kroxa can exile. Like, I have way more fetch lands in there than I normally would, including the not so great ones. If you like this kind of content, subscribe. Kroxa is one of my all-time favorite cards. I own a foil copy of it in paper. It's just everything that I love about Rakdos. Discarding and direct damage. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Okay. Tough matchup first. But the one thing that's nice about discard is it's good against any deck. Every deck struggles against discard unless you are specifically equipped like ours to handle it. With like an escape creature or something like that. We have Ragavan. Yeah. I think we keep because we have Ragavan. This can kill a Planeswalker as well. So even if they get Nicol Bolas down, we can kill it. Probably turn 1. Turn 2. Unless we... Well, maybe we play the spell side of this. No, let's not be greedy. Let's get the lands down. I mean, we could play pretty much any spell in our deck with these 4 lands. So now we'll have black, black, red, red for Kroxa's escape ability. So I think that's more important. They're going to crack. That's awesome. That means we're going to get a free Ragavan swing. This gets rid of a Planeswalker as well, so that's an awesome draw. Mountain. Dash. What do we steal? Cruelty of Gix, okay. That's fine, it goes to their exile zone, so they can't use that against us. Black market. No land drop. Oh, they do. They do have a land drop. I wonder if they have a 1-mana removal spell. This is good, though. I mean, it's going to gain them value, but our whole deck is trying to make them lose life. We could Reckoner's Bankbuster and Kroxa, but I think we just keep dashing Ragavan and make them stop it. They could, if they crack in response, they might have a... Oh, they don't. Okay. Let's see what we get. Baleful Mastery. Doesn't apply here. Okay. End turn. So they'll have mana to play Nicol Bolas next turn. We can just bedevil it if we want to. We might just wait. They're going to put up a blocker. Smart. Play Nicol Bolas. They don't play Nicol Bolas. They play Liliana Last Hope. Up to one target creature gets -2/-1. Mill 2 cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Sure. They're gonna -2.
This fight finished before brunch.
Okay.
Humility is for the weak.
Well, we can Kolaghan's command the... Yeah, it's probably correct. If they have a counter, that's okay too, because it means they tap out. Cut down. Okay. Full control. Auto pay. Resolve. Resolve the first trigger. Auto pay. Turn full control off. Decline, leave it in the graveyard, draw 2. Right now they have no creatures to get back with this Liliana. And they're at 7 life. Oh, 6 life. Okay, you draw a card, your opponent exiles a card. We can exile this Forgotten Cave.
Let your weak minds crumble.
I'm not finished with you yet.
Okay. Play this on black. And we can cut down this if we want to and Ragavan something. Ragavan them, right? I mean, we could just blow up Bolas. I mean, this is doing nothing, right? So we can cut this down. They could have a removal spell. But that'll make them get rid of their treasures. Yep. That works. And then we can it's too bad we don't have a non-creature non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. But now which one of these needs to die more? I think it's this one, right? But they can just replay it. But yeah, it's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, they can't. Well, they have to make a treasure. Then they could replay it. But that would be their whole turn. We still have Bedevil. We can also bring back Kroxa. Although now we shouldn't, because they can just -3 it.
My schemes are never ending.
I'll stop when I get my answers.
Do we have lethal here? If they discard 2 non-lands, we do, but it's very risky. If we had one more land, like an untapped land, we could give this haste with Aftermath. This is a tapped land, I'm pretty sure. So why don't we... Because this is a -7. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to Bedevil you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think they have enough to bring it back even with the treasure token. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll Spikefield Hazard. And we could bring back the Ragavan, but I think we're going to go for lethal. Next turn we'll have enough to Fame and Kroxa, or reverse order, Kroxa and then Fame. They go down to 4. Do they play a land? Or do they have a way to exile Kroxa? They pump their Liliana.
It's mine to ruin.
They don't have a way to do it. Okay. Counterspell? Soul Shatter. Okay. Well, if they take action. Because now it's a burn spell. Okay. So they got around that. Next turn they'll be able to play Bolas. So claiming the Ragavan doesn't do anything for us. Get some information about them. They're so close to dead. Cyclonic Rift, that doesn't affect us at all. But I guess we might as well... They're gonna -7. Where they have no zombies, so that wouldn't do anything. Okay. Well, they're gonna play Bolus and plus it, so we might as well just use this. And we'll give them a target for Liliana. Malika Rebirth, that's actually really good with our commander. Oh, they don't play Bolus. They don't play Bolus.
Failed to entertain me. Humility is for the
Okay,
weak.
but you have no zombies. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. We'll virtue it so we get double trigger. Move it back to command. Their black market's going to kill them unless they can get rid of it. And Grixis has a really hard time removing enchantments. So they definitely have a lot of mana where they can do a bunch of nasty things. But they're out of cards. They're really low on life. Okay. Oh. But does this do damage in any way? If this is a land, we win the game. So I think we gotta go for it. Okay. Counterspell. Decline. Leave Kroxa in the bin. Oh, nice. I didn't think about how that would affect us too. Wrecked. Decline. That's okay. Next turn we can bring Kroxa back and fame it. They have no cards in hand, so this is a well, either way, but we're gonna do the fun play. Wait, hold on. Is fame one of the cards? It is one of the cards. Damn. I wanted to do it like this, but I can't because I don't have enough cards in the graveyard. Well, if I had one more card in the graveyard, I could play Kroxa and fame it and attack them. They could bring back Valky. It's not going to do anything. I have no hand. So they draw a card, they take 2 damage, they have to take at least 1 damage from Black Market, so they're dead. So unless they have a way to instant speed gain life... Yeah? There's nothing in my hand. The Bolus player is thinking. Take 2. Good game. Take 1. GG. Shieldred saves the day. Because I believe if we didn't draw exactly Shieldred or some card we could discard, we would have definitely died to 28 zombie damage. Alright. What a game. That was a long one. I will say though that if you're planning on playing Kroxa, this is how like all the games go. They're just grindy games where you both end up with no hands. If you like defeating Bolus players, subscribe. Okay, Vorinclex. Very much the opposite matchup. Which Vorinclex though? Is this the land fetching one? Yeah. So this Vorinclex, ETBs, they get 2 force in their hand. And then they can pay 8 mana later on, turn it into that saga, and it does a bunch of stuff that you can read there. We'll go over that if it happens. Our plan is to not let it happen though. So we got lots of removal, which is great. A way to draw a card. We get to go first. I think this is a keep. So we'll lead on Temple because it's a tap land, plus we get to scry. So maybe we scry away something that's, you know, too much mana at this point in the game, or, you know, get valuable information about what we're gonna draw next. Because Mishra's Bauble could go either way. We could target ourselves to know what we're gonna draw, or we could target our opponent. But this sort of allows us to target our opponent because we don't need to target ourselves. We'll know what's on top of our deck if we keep on top. Okay, well, while we wait for the opponent to turn on their brain, let's organize our hand a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but I like lands on the right and then mana cost increasing to the left. This is how I play in Paper and on Arena. Arena likes to do it the opposite way, where they put the lands over here and then the high mana spells over here, but I don't like that. And especially, like, notice how this part of the hand is like lower and less visible than this part of the hand, which is like higher up. To me, it's like, let's have the stuff on this side of the hand that's we're gonna play next turn, because I can read it and see it. And tucked away on this side is the stuff that we're saving for later. But I don't know. Leave me a comment if you think that's weird. It's just the way I like to play. Well, I guess we're gonna get an auto win on the green player. I usually wait these out, and I know that this is boring, but I usually wait these out for the reason that I've noticed some historic brawl players, it's a land, so we gotta keep it. Some historic brawl players will purposely rope like that on the first turn to see if the other person leaves, and forced on top for the opponent. We draw the land. And I think they do it to get free wins so they can get gold faster. Well, you know, it seems like this person is actually just physically not at their computer, or they disconnected. But I've seen that before, where like the person ropes the whole pre-game opening phase, and then as soon as it gets into their main phase, they start playing like they were sitting there the whole time. So that's why I always wait it out, because, you know, I'm not going to give someone free wins. I'm more patient than the average person. It does seem like this person is actually disconnected though. So, if they play something, we'll go over that. If they, you know, if and when they play something. For now, I'll just talk. Oh, oop, there they are. I'll just talk about. See, they waited till their timer got all the way down to here. I don't know, man. Suspicious is all I have to say. Suspicious. Baron Moore will play tapped. Duress you. Explore and this guy. Well, I think Explore because it draws them a card and gets them the ability to land ramp. We got to get rid of this. You can play the Forgotten Gave tapped and Kroxa. I think for now, well, yeah, let's decline. Let's leave it in the graveyard. I was thinking about maybe putting it back into command in case we had nothing to do, but I think we'll have stuff to do. Nice. Yeah, let's get that cooking. We could have waited on this in case they had like a big board state that they try to attack us with later, but I think just valuing them and drawing cards is probably going to be better. Drawing some of our discard effects and things like that. So I've played this deck before, and I've played it in the style of just killing this over and over. It's hard to keep up with because every time it ETBs they get another forest. So they can almost, not quite, but they can almost play this every turn even if we remove it. But I think that's still what we got to do here. So let's, yeah, let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Pass the turn. Get more cards in the graveyard for Kroxa, which we currently have mana to escape with. Mono Green's gonna have a really hard time interacting with this card. I mean, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Ragavan. Well, I think we just, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature, so they have to sack their Vorinclex. And then we can go for the throat whatever comes down or draw with the One Ring if they don't do anything relevant. We could have dashed Ragavan, maybe that's the right call, but I think holding up go for the throat is probably better. Okay, so start drawing with the One Ring.
Life can thrive here. It can thrive. Even the gutter burgeons with life.
We don't want to take more life than we have to here. We can escape Kroxa. They put a bunch of creatures into their hand. I think we Kroxa this turn and then steal whatever they play next turn. Again, they're going to have a hard time interacting with Kroxa. They might just play Vorinclex again. Come on, discard your Emrakul. It's so far away. Ah, Bankbuster. Wow. Well, I think that's GG. It's protection from instants, which is our... Well, we can steal it, though. This is a sorcery, right? Protection from instants. They're controlling my turn right now. That's why it's purple. We'll see how much damage they do, and then... Yeah, that was smart. Yeah, I think that's GG. We won't give them the satisfaction of controlling our turn. So what they'll do is they'll attack with Kroxa into the Emrakul, and then it'll be... I don't know, they'll leave it in... Although it's funny, because if they... Normally they do that and then they leave it in the graveyard, but that actually... doesn't hurt us in the long term. It does hurt us immediately because we can't cast it. But then we have no way of interacting with this Emrakul. I mean, we could try to draw out of it with the One Ring, but I just know our deck. We don't really have a way to get around that. So the best way to have gotten around this would have been to steal this, attack them down some form, draw with the One Ring. Hopefully we get a sacrifice effect and we could sack this and draw cards. But yeah, we could have also played Ox of Aganis and tried to draw into an answer, but I just don't think we were going to do it. I was wondering why they were milling, but they were milling to turn on Emrakul. That makes sense. Well, after roping me for, you know, a turn and a half or whatever it was, they decided to actually play the game, and lo and behold, they won. So I don't know why they just don't play from the get-go, but, you know. Arena players, am I right? Okay, Finn, which is, I think, the poison commander. Death touch poison. Whenever creature you control with death touch deals damage. Yeah, 2 poison counters. Okay. We need a lot of removal against this deck, and this is not it. This is good against a control deck. This is not good against a aggro deck. Free mulligan. Yeah, mulligan again, no removal. Cut down's good. This is great. This is awesome because we can make blockers. Keep. And what? Oh man, what do we put back? I guess the Rotting Regisaur, because it's not really effective against Death Touch creatures, right? It's a great card, but not against Death Touch. So essentially we just need to kill Finn. The Death Touch creatures are not going to kill us. It's Finn that's going to kill us. This is our only red. No, we have a red source. But we technically have double black too. So... Let's do it like this. Get rid of Finn. I'm doing it now before they untap because this deck has a lot of protection spells. They have like the 1 mana target creature gains hexproof type of effects. Then this turn we can get down... I guess we get down another red. We can Twinferno Lightning Bolt and kill both these creatures. I would kind of rather have you down when we did that. Do it like this. Pass. They may have fight effects. They oftentimes have a lot of fight effects in the deck as well. But they'll probably want to play their commander again. So resolve. They have no mana. Make a 1/1. Kill their commander. Now they're just 2 death touch creatures that don't do poison damage. No blocks. Don't really care about the poison damage. Waste not. If they discard a creature, then we get a creature. Yes, so that's perfect. And then let's we don't really have enough cards in the graveyard yet, so let's take action and no attacks. So that we have blockers, so that if they feel like attacking, we can just kill their creatures. Because again, their deck doesn't work unless they have creatures. Okay. Does Questing Beast have Death Touch? It does. I'm not really worried about the damage though. I gotta be honest. So we're taking 7 here. So we go down to 14. No blocks. It's just damage. Okay. So we can Twin Inferno. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell. Yeah. So we get 2 creatures out of this. Unless the copy counts. Nice. No attacks. So now we can just straight up block Questing Beast. Great Henge, that's a great card for them. Too bad we don't have, oh, I guess we can't because it's, I can't because these are, what is it, power what? Power 2 or less, gotcha. Okay. Heroic Intervention. So they cast that so that I don't get the trigger. And we'll decline. It sucks that Questing Beast has Vigilance, but I don't really want to get rid of Young Pyromancer. And they're at 24, so yeah, no attacks. Now this is going to suck because they're going to start drawing cards off the Great Henge. And a lot of their cards are cheap creatures. Yep. Draw another card. Uh-huh. Get 2 poison. Well, I'm not dead next turn, but it's not looking good. I can only kill stuff with 3 toughness or less, so that really just only kills our board. So I think this is the only spell that works here. No attacks. Unless they have a way to pump their Questing Beast, we're not dead. Yeah, draw a card. Hopefully it's just a land. Proliferate. Gotcha. Prize fight. Okay. Man, if we could just block. Well, this is a land. They did put stuff in our graveyard. So, what? We Kroxa and block the questing beast? Then, I mean, I guess we play this as a land, right? Because it doesn't... Yeah. No attacks. So hopefully they don't draw a fight spell, because that would be a wash. Draw a card. Okay. Fair enough. Both attack. So, blow you up. Decline. Leave it in the graveyard. The worst removal spell that we could possibly draw. Yeah, I think that's game, right? I think that's game. We'll give it to him. The questing beast really did work for them. I mean, it's a great card. It has a whole fucking novel worth of text on it, but it is a really good card. So I think if they hadn't drawn the questing beast, I think we would have been fine in that game. But our cards just didn't line up against their cards. And what a unlucky draw. Like, the one removal spell we draw is the one that we can't use. Bad luck, bad luck. What is this? Anim Pakal. This is the gnome one, right? Yeah. Another aggro deck. What fun. No. This is a good against a... Alright, this is much better. Yeah. Keep 7, especially this as a blocker. And we have both fetches, so we can get both our duels. So next turn we can Smoldering Egg. Next turn we can Rotting Regisaur. Turn after that we can Shieldred. And I think we'll probably stabilize from there. I wonder if they have a lightning bolt. No. Okay. That's good. That's a good draw. What is this? Whenever you attack with one or more non-gnome creatures. Okay, so all these are non-gnomes. So we have to kill this thing next turn. So we need an untapped land. So we'll just hold up Bedevil and pass. Put a counter on Smoldering Egg. Yep. Full control. Resolve. When they go to combat. Actually, on that trigger, we can just kill it. They're gonna make more 1/1s. That's okay. Next turn. Ooh, do we have a swamp? We do. So we can just shoulder it here. It's a good counter punch to their Soul Warden. Sure. Oh, I see. So they can just keep returning it. Makes sense. We almost have enough counters on Smoldering Egg to flip it. I think we might just put Dreadhorde Arcanist down. I mean, we could keep casting Dark Ritual, which is pretty funny, but we'll put it down as a blocker for all these 1/1s. Pretty good for them. Now all their 1/1s enter as 2/2s, but we still can block everything. Oh, they're 3/3s. Okay, well, yep, and yep, and yep. So we're gonna discard Dark Ritual on our upkeep, but we can get it back with Dreadhorde Arcanist. We really need a board wipe. That's not good enough. I mean... It's an enchantment, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think we're pretty much dead. I mean, we'll just cast Kroxa to do the thing. We have like one more turn to draw a board wipe. I don't know what this is. Another Anthem effect. Lightning strike the 1/3. It's weird they didn't lightning strike my face, but that's fine. Yep. Yep. Good for them. I'm not a big fan of that gnome deck. Or I mean, it's obviously very good, but I'm not a big fan of playing against it. You feel like you have to have exactly the right kind of deck to defeat it. It feels very much like what's the other Boros commander? Winota. It feels a lot like Winota. Different, but basically the same thing. And instead of Winota where it's 4 mana, the gnome creature's 3 mana. So it's like comes down even faster. Okay. Not a great matchup for us because it's an enchantment that we can't interact with in Rakdos. Well, we have a couple effects, but only like a couple. 2, I think. Thoughtseize is pretty decent. At least we get to go first. We have Corrupted Conviction. Yeah. We'll try it. We will try. Let's do this, and the next turn we can Thoughtseize. And Forgotten Cave. Explore. Static Net. Probably Explore. Slow them down. See what they're going to draw next. Awesome. It's super good for them. At least it's early, so it doesn't do anything right away. We have a swamp, so let's full control. Kroxa. Resolve. It doesn't matter, but I like to let the first trigger resolve. And then sacrifice the creature. Decline, leave it in the graveyard. Okay. We can go get a red source with this, and then we'll have Kroxa mana and almost Kroxa cards in our graveyard to escape with. claim our commander, and we'll, just to get the trigger, make him discard another card and then put it back in the graveyard. Keep whittling away at their hand. Then next turn, we can cast Kroxa. I think we'll have enough cards in the graveyard. Decline. They will have this static net, which is annoying, but is what it is. Prismatic Bridge. Here we go. Tear Grid. So we could play Kroxa, but they have static net. So if we had 6 mana, we could Kroxa in Fame, but we don't. I think we just do it like this. Get a counter on Smoldering Egg. Make them discard a card, blow up their mana, rock. That way if we ever do get to a point where we can blow this up, it's harder for them to recast it. So what kind of deck is this? Hullbreaker Horror. Sick. Uh-huh. Resolve. They don't have any other spells in their hand though, so this is an opportunity. Oh, perfect. Oh, no, it's not perfect. We need a land. Oh my goodness. This would have been a perfect draw if we had a land. Well, at least we can play Kroxa and make them discard their card. The only issue is that they'll probably draw an instant or sorcery, and they can Hullbreaker Horror Kroxa back to our hand, which is not the worst thing in the world. It's nice. So they get a copy of Kroxa, but it'll escape, so they don't get to permanently keep it. But they do get to exile our Kroxa. I think that's GG. Prismatic Bridge, another awfully designed card by Wizards of the Coast. What could be the harm if we make a legendary creature with a backside that's a enchantment that puts free spells on the battlefield? What could possibly go wrong? Thought the Wizards of the Coast intern. We'll play one more. The deck plays better than I'm showing it tonight. You know, I know we got a couple wins, but the deck goes pretty much 50-50, even though it's not going 50-50 right now. It's one of my save decks that I play offline. Aragorn, okay. I don't even know how this game will go. They get to go first. Tap land, Signet. A lot of meh, I guess. We can draw more cards and discard stuff. I guess we'll keep. We'll lead with Bloodfell because it's tapped. Technically Valakut's another land, so we have 3 lands in hand. We'll do it like this. I'm drawing a lot of Mishra's Bauble, which I'm not going to complain about. It's just kind of interesting. Do you have a Spell Pierce? I would laugh so hard if they spell pierce this. Wow. What a waste of a spell pierce. That's totally fine. I mean, we still get what we wanted, which was a card in the graveyard to use. But okay, but imagine this, right? So we're gonna play Arcane Signet. They could have spell pierced this. That would have been a much better target for spell pierce. Now they could have a counter spell here, but they don't. They could have also spell pierced this, but instead they spell pierced my Mishra's Bauble. Just uh-huh. Okay. There's nothing I really care about you lightning bolting. So I think it's this. I could have also claimed it, but it's okay. We drew a land. Okay. Put some more cards in our graveyard. I think we might, wow, we could Bitter Reunion. We could also Dreadhorde Arcanist and Inquisition every single turn. It's pretty good. Because it's when it attacks, right? We have double red, so let's get more black. Yeah, we could Dreadhorde here. They could Lightning Bolt it, and we could get the Lightning Bolt out of their hand. That's fine with me. Otherwise, we're going to Inquisition every turn, so we'll see if they realize that. Yep. So next turn we're probably gonna Bitter Reunion the claim, because I don't see a target for it right now. We can't claim either of these two things. It has to be mana value 3 or less. They could play Toski, right? Okay, play Aragorn. Okay. Let's lead with this, just in case we draw removal or something like that. Draw 2. Okay. We can Molten Collapse their Aragorn, which is probably the right move right now before they get tons of value off of it. Next turn we can what? Kroxa Corrupt. Yeah, I think we're gonna play this as a land because then we can play Terragrid and go from there. So I think that's what we're gonna do. Next turn we play Terragrid. The turn after that we Kroxa Corrupted, double discard them, and then the turn after that we play Kroxa. Yep. Tiny Bone's another good one, but Terror Grid's better. Is this the one that does damage? They're gonna add red and green. Okay. Sure. That has to attack, so we'll just block it. We don't want them drawing cards. I guess this wouldn't cause double, but that's okay because we only have one card in hand anyway, so we don't want to double. Doubling the effect would be a waste here. So this is actually better. Sacrifice and draw 2. Okay, cool. Do this. We already have. Oh no, we don't. Okay, let's go get Blood Crypt. We'll take 3 to do it, but that's the best land. Okay. So we have enough to... We have enough to play Kroxa and then play it out of the graveyard. So do we even Corrupted Conviction? I don't think we do. I mean, yeah, I don't think we do. Let's read the cards real quick. Okay, what does this do? We can get this down to... This has Menace, so we can attack this freely. Create a create a 3/3 green 5x and beast creature token with toxic 1. Okay. What does this do? Sacrifice it. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+1 gain indestructible. Okay. Lead with this. Let's do full control. Let's see what they discard off the first trigger. Resolve the first trigger. Okay. It is a Veil of Summer. So do we draw cards here? I don't think so. We can always Corrupted Conviction this if we really want to. Resolve. Decline. Escape it. Get rid of this stuff and yeah, I guess you and you. Okay. Next turn they can attack with both if they want and draw at least one card. Okay, they're gonna add mana to play their commander. Sure. They may not attack. Oh wow, they just scoop. I wonder why they scooped. they're still in an okay position. I mean, they're going to lose their Planeswalker, but they still have a decent board. They have 9 power. They have the ability to draw more cards with Toski, which is indestructible. Wow. I don't know. I wouldn't have scooped on this. It's a good board. I don't know what the opponent was thinking. I mean, at least before you scoop, you should attack with both of these, right? Knowing that I'm going to block this one because this one is, I can at least kill this one. You'll draw 1 card. Maybe that 1 card changes your mind, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking crazy. All right, let's do a deck review. So, Kroxa, it's a difficult deck to play in the sense that, well, it's difficult in the style of the deck where, and this is true for all discard decks in a sense. A lot of the times the way that discard decks end up working is, you know, they work, you make the opponent discard cards, but you also run out of cards because it's like 1 for 1, right? Like I play my Thoughtseize and I make you discard your best thing, but I also went down a card. So there's not a lot of 2 for 1s. Now we can kind of get some 2 for 1s with Kroxa with the sacrifice trigger, and we, you know, do a Malakir Rebirth or something like that. But in general, it's just 1 trigger. When we really start making the discard come to, you know, effect is, or we start getting 2 for 1s is what I should say, is when Kroxa is a creature and we're attacking with it, and we have discard effects. But we didn't really get to that in this episode, which is not normal. Normally it's not that difficult to get Kroxa down because the way the deck's designed, but I don't know, just however these games unfolded, it didn't really end up working like that. I mean, I guess in the last game we actually got Kroxa down and they did the opponent scoop before we could start doing our thing. But once Kroxa's down and it's attacking, then the deck really like sort of turns the corner. But the deck is hard to play because you run out of cards and the opponent runs out of cards, and then you're both kind of top decking, except you have the advantage of being able to escape your commander, which is, you know, in the best case scenario doing 9 damage a turn. In the worst case scenario, it's a giant 6/6. So that also makes them discard. So yeah, that's the deck. I'm not sure I would change anything. I'm not sure that there's a way in 60 card, you know, or I'm sorry, 100 card singleton to make this more consistent. It already is a really low mana curve. I mean, I would say 70% of the deck is 3 mana or less, and then, you know, you have this little pocket of, you know, 30% over here that's higher than that, and even then, like, it's mostly 5 mana and 4 mana spells, and then like 1 7 mana spell. So the deck is, you know, even with the clunky, you know, fetch lands and stuff like that, the deck is really, it curves out nicely. I think it's just really important what opening hand you keep. I think there was a couple of games back there where I kept incorrect opening hands based on the matchup. I know there was at least one game where I tried to mull multiple times and I didn't really get what I was looking for. And at a certain point, you don't want to go down to like 6 cards, then 5 cards, because then you're like, you're in an even worse position than you were if you just had kept the full 7 that was maybe not as, you know, applicable as you would like them to be. But that's the deck. I really like this deck. I know it didn't like perform that great, you know, or maybe it did. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell at the end of an episode. Maybe we went 50-50. I don't know. It's a 50-50 deck. It's a Rakdos mid-range, right? It's kind of one of those decks that's like not high win rate. You know, 50% for a lot of people is not high win rate, but I think the wins are so much more satisfying for me in my play style, because it's kind of like mid-range control, right? It's like turning the corner. It's kind of like how Jund felt in Modern in 2015 in a sense, where it's like you know, where you're kind of battling it out, one for oneing the opponent, and then finally you whittle them down and you can turn the corner with your Kroxa. So I like the play style, and I'm willing to accept that it's maybe not going to win as much to have this really cool commander as my, you know, in a deck that revolves around this card. I will say, like, in, you know, the actual format commander, this is probably a really fun build. I've never, even though I own the card on paper, I've actually never built a commander deck around Kroxa. But I imagine a lot of the same principles apply. You just fill your graveyard, but you probably have access to a lot better discard stuff. Like Dark Deal, you know, you probably have all the wheels, right? You have ways of wheeling people's hands and making everyone discard and then draw a fresh 7. Dark Deal kind of does the same thing, except everyone discards the hand, and then I think they put back like 7 cards or 4 cards from their graveyard. They get to choose 4 cards from their graveyard. So there's a lot more like mass discard in Commander than there is on Arena. In Arena, that's a lot of like 1-for-1 discard, which is okay, but it's not great. I think this deck gets turbocharged in Commander. So if you found this interesting and you want to build a Commander deck around it, I highly recommend you look that up, because it's probably at least 3 times as good in Commander, and the ability to have a commander that can never die necessarily. I mean, they could exile it, but in most cases, it's just going to go to the graveyard where you can escape it again. Is pretty cool. A lot of the times, the frustration from certain commanders comes like you play it and it gets removed, and then you feel like you didn't get to do anything. But with this commander, it's like it kind of lives forever, no matter where you put it. So yeah, try it out. If you like the deck, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.